pattern changes Sunday, January 30th. One more day to the monthly close, which is very important in my eyes. I was expecting the monthly close to be a little bit higher than where we are right now. Let me talk to you about BTC, a little bit of the oscillators, a little bit of price action, but overall, unfortunately, I don't have good news for us. Start off with the higher time frame, and the most important thing you want to look at on the weekly and on the 3-day and the 2-day is the PT trend. So originally the PT trend is about to curl and turn green. That doesn't mean that we're bullish, but at least we're going to get a local bottom type of movement to the top side. At that point, you could expect the altcoins to do between 75 to 125%, which is going to be good for us if we, buy a little bit of spot or do some low leverage trading. Again, not financial advice, but watch your weekly PT trend for this green activation, and then the cross. The cross will signify that officially we're going to be uptrending for a couple of weeks, maybe a week and a half to 2 weeks, depending on how bearish the macro is. Now, the macro is bearish, right? Monthly had an unfortunate massive rejection. I apologize for not seeing this. I mean, I saw it, I indicated it, but it was already too late. At that point, we were at like that 50K range. This rejection here is just terrible. If you combine it with the sell signals, again, the monthly sell signals, unfortunately, are very pivotal and very strong. As you could tell, they lead to bear markets, which I hope is not the case with this. But I really can't tell you that this time it's different unless I see some kind of bullish behavior, and I don't have it yet. So overall, you get your first pull, a second one, and then you die. That's when you have your sell signal and then a downtrend, sell signal, then a downtrend. You get your top, you get your cross, you go down. This is your first top, this is your second top, your first top, second top. And again, your first top, and this is your second top. But the interesting part here is that if anybody here knows how I play, if I see this on a 15-minute or 4-hour or even a freaking daily, this is your typical cross retest behavior. And this retest here, the retest is basically the signal line getting tapped. You have your main line, which is gray, the signal line, which is purple. It gets tapped and bounces. So at that point, you know that it's at least a 50% dump brewing or 50% pump brewing on the flip side. The monthly has officially given us our first black histo, which gives you some kind of hope that we're close to a local bottom. Now let's go back to the 2-week. I'm going to show you a little bit of what the 2-week is saying. So also one more thing about the monthly. No, actually, I'll talk to you guys about that after. Let's go to the 2-week time frame. Go to your Binance. I want to show you guys this. So we have a 2-week order block on the bottom, which personally speaking is going to hold. I don't see us breaking this box with a close sub this. Otherwise, we are in a bear market officially. And then on the flip side, you have the monthly order block, which is roughly at the monthly order block is between $43,000 and $48,000. The 2-week OB is between 31,000 and 35,000. You see how we have these wicks here in the 2-week? There is absolutely no way you form a bottom with just one wick, right? You're going to get, maybe you won't get these, which is roughly about like maybe 5 or 6 2-week candles, which came out to like 2 months or 2 or 3 months, but you're going to get another attempt to the downside. And if we're bullish, meaning in short-term bullish behavior, you're going to get another wick to fill this current wick. At least 75% of it will fill, and then we're going to get a movement back up to the top side, which should be the monthly order block. At that point, if the monthly order block rejects us, then we need to hope that we go on for a real higher low. You're not going to get a higher low this close, too close. You're not going to get it after 2 candles. You're probably going to get it within about, say, another month and a half or 2 months. At that point, you want to hope that you get a higher low into a higher high. Otherwise, if this monthly order block rejects us, you're going down and making a lower low and creating a base down here in hopes that will be the deviation to the reclaim into the movement back up. So there's 2 type of scenarios that I'm looking at. I don't think we're in a bear market. I can't tell you we are. The reason why I'm assuming that we're not in a bear market, guys, is because this is the first time in BTC's history we've made a higher high. So this was your original all-time highs, and you made a higher high. Even if it was a false or a failed breakout higher high, and it kind of like deviated the all-time highs, which we expected. A lot of us expected it. You can't assume we're bearish. Okay, we are bearish. You can't assume that we're going into a bear market until we see officially structure breaking to the downside. I know a lot of you are going to say by the time you see that it's too late. Yes, it is. But again, this is still a higher low until it's not. This is your low and this is your higher low until it's not. And unfortunately, based on trading 101, that's just structural rules. So until we break below the 2-week order block with a weekly close on the green box, I'm going to write this weekly until weekly close sub green box, no bear market. I'm being honest, it shouldn't be. And until we get until weekly close above red box, no bull market. So what does that mean? That technically means that we're in range. We're range bound. If we're range bound, where's the actual range? I'll talk to you guys about the oscillators. What the hell is that? In a bit. I don't know what did I just do? I must have clicked the wrong button. So yellow box is range bound in my eyes. I like playing ranges. You know me, I like playing deviational ranges. So as soon as we get a daily close above mid, which is going to be roughly 39 or 40,000, you want to automatically target the 43 to $45,000 mark. Usually more often than not, I'm going to create three boxes. Box number one, I'm going to make them all black. No, back one. Box number one, box number two, box number three. Okay. When you find a local bottom, right? These are three different consolidations that led to lower lows, right? And all of them have clean highs. Okay. Which means that when you do happen to find a local bottom, where it is, whether it's going to be at 32,000 or it's going to be here, anywhere, wherever it comes from, you want to automatically target the mid of the consolidation that led to the dump and the high. So it's going to basically come out to, you're going to first target the 42, and then you're going to target the highs over here at $45,000 as soon as you assume we have a local bottom. Personally speaking, I'll go to the lower time frame as well. Now that you saw how these boxes go forward. Again, you understand why this is 1, 2, 3 consolidations that led to lower lows. Usually you don't go for a fourth. You don't for a local low. You know, I'm not saying you can't, but usually you don't. After the third consolidation, you do a capitulation wake, or your capitulation candle. You pretty much die hard. As you see, this was a pretty freaking big dump that took place over here. Then you range, then you dump, you make a higher low, and then if things are, as you say, go according to plan, then you go up into that $44,000 to $45,000 range. Now, this is just a beautiful scenario. Obviously, things don't work out the way you planned it, but this is what I'm expecting and hoping. Let's go to the lower time frame now, guys. Let's go down to, I need to go down to, I think it was, actually, I could do it on this one, right? Could do it on here? Yeah, beautiful. Let's go down to the 4-hour. So now the 4-hour parallel, boom. This is your range that we're playing in right now. You can even go to the 2-hour. It doesn't really matter. Open up your VWABs. Go to keep your previous day VWAB. You see this little guy over here? I personally think this week we're going to tap this guy at 44.8 previous day VWAB. I think we're going to tap him. This kind of behavior is absolutely disgusting. This always ends up breaking to the downside. It's basically a grind up. Usually it happens over the weekend. I don't know when the 27th was. When was the 27th? 27th was on a Thursday. We bottomed on the 26th. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't like the way this thing looks. Usually this thing breaks down to the downside and does something like this. It hits the first VWAP, which is going to be roughly about $37,000. And then it goes back up for an attempt to the top side. If you make a lower high at this point, which should come in play on Monday. If Monday we do happen to dump and we get into a lower high and we cannot get above roughly about $38,000, and that's how you know that you take your 1-to-1 extension, made high, which is going to be roughly about 38.9, then your higher low, which is going to be roughly about, say, 35.4, and then again your second high, which is your lower high, which comes out to 38.7. And then you want to target your 1-to-1 extension or your golden pocket, which is $33,000 or 35,000. So that's how period block. That's how I'm playing BTC. I'm still exposed to longs. I closed some of my ETH longs only because ETH is dragging ass. Unfortunately, ETH couldn't even get to the weekly VWAP. Unfortunately, you wanted to see at least an attempt up to the VWAP before you go back down to contest this $2,300 range, right? So I don't know, man. This market looks like absolute shit. Some of these altcoins, I'm not going to go over altcoins right now, but some of these altcoins look absolutely terrible when it comes to high time frame. Like if you look at the, let me show you this. Even to the 5 day. All right, so if this was the main order block that led to the dump, and that was the deviation of the order block, right? This was your order block that led to the main dump. Look, you don't come back down here and be bullish, right? You literally, this should have been your never revisit this area. So, and then this was supposed to stop over here, right? So the way you have your block over here, this was supposed to be the bottom, and then you go back up to the top. But instead, we broke to the downside. And you don't really revisit this big candle because this was a trap down, reverse, go up, come back, retest that line, and then make your lower high. Instead, we fucking broke that blue line. So I'm not excited about these upcoming weeks. Whatever bounce we get will probably lead to another massive dump. I personally think February is going to be bearish again, unfortunately. But let's talk about the oscillators because there's a lot I want to show you guys about these oscillators. Before I do that, actually, let me talk to you guys about the EMAs. Those who do play with EMAs, so we have the monthly order block. I'm gonna get rid of this over here and still keep this trend line because this trend line is important. Right there. Okay, so until we reclaim this trend line, unfortunately, this thing is just dead. I don't even want to talk about being bullish, unfortunately, for us. The black box is the first trouble area. Second trouble area is going to be roughly about $50,000 to $52,000. The 3-day 200 EMA and 200 MA is blue and red, and we are sandwiched between the two. If you look at the 2-day, what we did last time when we were sandwiched between the two over here, right? We were sandwiched until we broke to the top side, but that was after we came from a bottom. Now we're coming from a top. So this technically could easily just break to the downside. And then you want to target your, I know this is crazy, guys. I understand that. And I know that nobody wants to hear this, but if we do happen to enter a bear market, I'm going to skip the 20s, the 24s, the 25s. I'm going to go straight down to like the teens. The reason why I'm going to do that is because I can't see this recovery quick if we do happen to break the structure. A lot of people are expecting these lows to get taken, which is fine from a wick basis. But if we start getting candle closes under these lows, I mean, dude, it's game over. If you open up your high low, I'm going to show you guys something else. If you open up your high low and put on your yearly low, right? Your yearly low inputs, yearly low, all right? Put that on. Let's go to the 12 hour. No, I'll go high. I'll put it the daily. So your yearly low, last year's yearly low, comes out to 27.7. There is a decent probability of this being, there's a decent probability of this being a magnet, this area being a magnet down here, where this thing could easily just capitulate down, go up and then capitulate down, and then start consolidating sideways for quite a few months. Whatever we're going to do, I cannot see this being a V reversal. Anyone who thinks that we're going to get this type of behavior, I personally do not. I'm convinced that we're going to have to go sideways. You do not re-enter a previous consolidation level that took place for roughly about 3 months that led to all-time highs and just reverse out of that. I think this is fucking bearish, unfortunately for me, because I'm a bull tard, and it's going to take a very long time for us to get out of this fucking mess. Go into the oscillators real quick and go into the weekly time frame. And I don't want to do this chart. I want to do this right here. Or to the weekly time frame. I want to show you guys some decent probabilities of us being as close to a local bottom as possible. The weekly time frame has a hidden bull dip. It's unconfirmed, but if it does confirm, this is a weekly bull dip. This could bring us to at least $45,000 or $50,000, and I don't care if no one believes it. it's still a bull dip, no matter how you put it, this limit daily. So put it in the weekly right now. But this weekly with the RSX is officially a hidden bull dip, unconfirmed. Will confirm once we get the bounce and this thing curls up. Go to your daily. The daily has a confirmed. I don't want to cancel. I'm talking. So yeah, the daily has a confirmed bull dip on the PTT. The PTT has a confirmed bull dip on the daily, which technically speaking should bring us up to at least the breakdown zone, which comes up to roughly about $41,000 to $42,000. So now, do you buy the next micro dump down? Sure, I am. Tell you that much. I'm gonna buy this. I'm gonna buy the next dump down to $35 or $34, $34,000. If it goes down like this, I'm gonna buy it and I'm going to target this monthly VWAP at $40,000 to $42,000. That's how I'm playing this low time frame movement. The oscillators are starting to actually show some decent signs of a potential local bottom. Is it here? I don't know. But you have a daily RSXW, which is a double bottom formation with God mode active on the daily. That is significant. I know that in a bull market, if we were still uptrending, this right here would have been bare minimum a 60% move. This is a daily time frame. I'm not saying you're going to get that now because we're downtrending, but it's enough to give you some kind of hope that a potential local bottom, not macro, local bottom is in play here. The daily MSTX also has a beautiful bull dip, as you can tell, and it actually has a double algo fire. Look, low band is on, delete everything, and then open this, delete this, open this, boom, boom. And it also has an algo fire. Go to your weekly. How does the weekly look? This is what I wanted to show you guys before. Algo fire number 1, algo fire number 2. Only difference is right now is that we're coming from a top versus we came from a bottom. What do I mean by that? You open up this, open up your signal, open up your trend, open up all of this. Okay. So, look, I'll leave the bits there. So, here. So when we had this, we were coming from a macro bottom. This was your macro bottom. Follow the blue line. You see how we came from the bottom? Blue line came from the bottom, went to the top, came back for your higher low, and then went to the top. So we were still in our first high. We were still in our first leg. We were still coming from the main first bottom. We already came from the bottom. Well, this is basically your top, and we are coming from, unfortunately, a top right now. And how do I know we're coming from a top? Well, because the trend line, I know this is how I map oscillators, guys. The trend line gave us a clear indication that we are in a duck mode. This is a bear div with an algo fire. You see this black thing? It algo fire. This is a bear div. This trend line will probably reset and have to come back to the mid. What did I tell you guys? As long as we stay above mid, we're bullish. We go below mid, we're fucked. Unfortunately, So I can't see a proper macro low come unless we at least get to the midpoint or come all the way back down to green. Don't forget, guys, this trend line has caught the bottoms since BTC's start, right? So when the trend line resets, it's the bottom. And look where we are right now. We're all the way up here. Anyone who assumes that this is going to be another bull market continuation possibly, but another bull market from here, very doubtful, guys. There's only two options. Either this thing comes to the mid, it goes back up, or this thing is going to come to the bottom, which is probably going to take roughly about maybe another 7-8 months. I don't know how long this took. I know everything is different, durations are different, but we can get a decent idea. This took almost a year from where we are, right? From the pink line, from the pink zone. Think about a year. So this line is so slow that it could take roughly about up to Q3 of 2022 before we see some significant move. Doesn't mean that it has to come to the green zone. It could stop at the midpoint. If it stops at the midpoint, it goes back up. We're going to get a decent run to the top side, which could lead to all-time highs, right? Again, the way it rejected here, right? The way it rejected the midpoint here, came from the bottom, went to the top, rejected, gave us a higher low, which was COVID, and then went to a bull market. Okay, if it comes back down here and it bounces again at the midpoint and we go back up and we go for another massive run, that will probably be the end of BTC for multiple years. So either way, we are destined to have an ugly bear market. Let's just hope that This is the possible scenario. Or whatever dump we get is the final dump into a massive leg up by Q3 or Q4 of 2022. Just don't expect it anytime soon. That's all I'm trying to say. All right, get out of this. And let's talk about some. Let's talk about some. What do we have over here? Okay. All right. So based on the oscillators, guys, whenever we are up here, it's not the best to be longing things blind. Keep that in mind. If you look at Ethereum, for example, it's a bad example because Ethereum doesn't have, I would have to do like Coinbase. But anyway, if you look at Ethereum, for example, based on strictly just the time, the price action itself, we did happen to get a bounce at the weekly order block, which is over here. This is your weekly order block. You see this? Instead of ball boy here. But do I think that the low is in from Ethereum? I don't think so. I think Ethereum has one more low and low. Whether we go up here to contest this block at 31 to $34,000, I think it's going to come straight back down here to $1,900 or $1,800, man. There's a VWAP that needs to be contested. Let's open it up and see where it's at. The VWAP is sitting at exactly $2,100, which in my eyes, oh, and there's a weekly here too. A weekly sitting at exactly $1,900. So it will make a lot more sense if this thing goes up, takes the highs, and then comes down, and then decide if we're going to make a move to the top side. I don't think the low is in for Ethereum, so be very careful. A lot of these altcoins look like absolute shit. Look at this. Look at this. You just can't even get above the weekly VWAP. You know, I'm not eager to long everything overnight. I'm taking things very slow. I am exposed to longs, and that's because of the 2-week time frame. Reset, 2-week closed. So this 2-week TMA bid, more often than not, always acts as a decent long, regardless of if it happens here or if it happens during one more little small dump down. I think we're in for a decent retracement, a pump up to at least $42,000 to $45,000. Any other dump that we get, I'm just going to straight up target this right here. The reason I'm targeting green zone, which is $19,000 to $27,000, I mean, that's a big range. I'm not telling you to long, I'm just saying, like, when I start seeing 2-week TMA mids get broken, you want to target a capitulation down to green. And the green zone right now for us, unfortunately, is $19,000 to $27,000. Open up your EMAs and go to your weekly. What's down there? There you go. Turn off the mid TMA, and then what's down there? Now, look what happens. Once you break the pink and the blue EMA, which is over here, you want to target automatically your 200 EMA or 200 MA. Look at my EMAs. The baby blue is 55 EMA. The pink is 99 EMA. When you start breaking these up here, like you did over here, you want to automatically target your 200 EMA, which is blue, and then your 200 MA, which is red. Currently, right now, those are the 200 MA is roughly at $25,000, and the 200 EMA, 200 MA, sorry, is 19,500 EMA. This is weekly low in this. Is 25,000. So as you can tell, same thing happened here. Same thing happened here. Once you blow up to the downside, you automatically target your 200s, which is coming out to 19,000, which gives you a good valid retest of the old previous alternatives. So anyone that tells you they know what's going to happen is more likely than not just guessing. It's very hard to predict this type of behavior only because you deviated the all-time burn rates and you went lower than where you should have. You should have never broken the monthly order block. Remember when we were talking about the monthly order block? Look, imagine you breaking the first attempt to this monthly order block. So now this officially becomes resistance on the lower time frame. So this can happen like this, where you go back up to retest the monthly order block, and then you die and make a lower low after that. No bullish asset breaks the monthly order block on the first attempt without at least putting it on micro lower high. And this did it, unfortunately. So be very careful with this market. I'm more, I'm pretty much spending a lot of money right now on NFTs because it seems like the NFT market is going to crash further or has crashed enough that I'm comfortable holding for the next 6 months or a year in hopes that these things end up like 5x in my money. I bought the unicorns. The money is already up roughly about 2.5x, which is great. The game is coming out shortly, and I'm hoping that I could put the unicorns to use to give me a reoccurring on a weekly or monthly basis. The idea of the unicorn game is that you take your 3 unicorns per one lot of land, and then you put them to use. Similar to staking, but people pay you for using your land, and people pay you for using your unicorns. So I think it'll be an interesting next couple of months. AKT staking has dropped from 45% down to 33%. That, for me personally speaking, is like the #1 sign that we are very bearish when we start seeing the staking APYs dropping down. Kudos went from 25% down to 20%. So as these as these APYs start dropping, you start to accept the fact that, hey guys, unfortunately, man, as bullish as we are overall, we need to start accepting the fact that we're fucking bearish, man. We are bearish. The BTC looks like pure shit. And unfortunately I can't turn bullish until I see this monthly order block get reclaimed. So reclaim this on a weekly or at least a 3-day time frame. Reclaim this whole thing. Reclaim this up here, and we can talk about all-time highs. Until we do that, though, this is going to be the biggest resistance of our life. Like 43 to 45K, 42 to 45 is going to be such a big slap when we get up there. And I'm hoping that it doesn't lead to a lower low. But it potentially could lead to a lower low, just to be able to give us that 2-day cross. Now, don't forget, I wanted you guys to see this. I put this in the chat in Discord. Look where we bounced last time, and look where we actually crossed. The low band, which is, look, when you look at my stuff, low band is gray, signal band is blue, trend band is black, right? So when the gray band crosses the black, that's your first indication that we are at a local potential bottom, right? We're not even there yet. Our low band did not cross shit. Our low band, which is gray, hasn't even crossed or kissed the black line yet, guys. We're so far away. And then the real pump came when the signal line crosses the black line. We're nowhere near that. This to you might be close, but if you understand the altimeters, this cross retest could take roughly about a month and a half. I'm not even exact, just a 2-day time frame. It's a long time for this to happen, guys. Now, also take in consideration God mode. God mode is a very important feature that John added to the RSX, and we are finally on God mode. We haven't had God mode on the downside since I think probably the bear market. Yeah, about here. This was the last time we had God mode on the downside. So we are at a potential possible local bottom within the month of February. Absolutely no reason for me to assume we're at a macro local bottom though. So open up your RSX the way you have it and put on your swing mode. I'm going to show you something else. Put on your swing mode. Okay. Now, swing mode has God mode, right? But look what happened to the bull market. The accumulation market. You had a God mode with a potential high-low algo fire. See how your algo fire fired again at a second time? We're still at our first fire. So there's so much comparison that you could do, but at the end of the day, I am absolutely not convinced that this is a macro bottom. Look at the difference between where we were over here, and we're still at the midpoint. You see how we never broke the midpoint? Since we actually bounced, since we actually dumped down in the bear market of 2019, we've always stayed above the midpoint. We stayed above the midpoint even with COVID, right? COVID, midpoint, here, midpoint. Let's make this like green or something so that you can actually see how this looks. Or yellow maybe? Yeah, make it yellow, right? So we are at that midpoint right now. Can we get a bounce back up? Sure. Is it going to be a macro bottom? Probably no. So I'm not convinced one bit that we are at a potential macro bottom. Keep that in mind, guys. 3-day RSX swing mode is green, which is beautiful. Usually green is pretty strong on the 3 days. It's usually my go-to. You don't get it often. You got it twice in the last I don't know, 4 years. And this is the third time we're getting it. Again, you got it in June of 2018, which led to a pump up of roughly 45%. Okay, so let's do the calculation, guys. If you actually kill it every time we actually turn green and we agua fire, right? This is 3-day swing mode. Guys, don't forget, this is swing mode, RSX, okay? And we're green right now. Look at these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pumps that we got, right? So let's look at the histogram as well. I want to see the histogram. It's very important to me. The histogram is very, very important to me. Sorry, guys, I'm still fucked up with my cold in there. Okay. Our histogram's not even black yet. You see how we turned black over here? Is that maybe on mobile you won't be able to see the black. So let's turn it a different color. Let's make it red. Right? Blue. Wait. Okay, there we go. You see how the histo over here turned blue? And over here it wasn't blue at all? And over here it's not blue yet? Okay, we're still far. Our histo didn't even turn blue yet at all. So let's make this a little bit better so you can see the difference. See this? Well, go to your lower time frame, 2-day. We're not even blue on the 2-day. Go to your 1-day. We're not even blue on the 1-day yet, guys. You see how many times we turned blue over here? And you are making smaller histos? Our histos are not being small right now. They're just staying leveled with no blue activation. So, see, we turned blue over here. We pumped a little bit, and then we died. Yeah, no. We're not near a macro bottom, unfortunately, and it's depressing for me to say it. So I keep saying the same thing. I'm repeating myself. I apologize. But this is the oscillator video I wanted you guys to see. And what I want you to watch for is your weekly. I personally think the worst is still behind us. I mean, the worst hasn't happened yet. I'm sorry. I think that we should be expecting something really fucked up to take place, in the next upcoming, like maybe 3-4 weeks. I want you to watch the PTT on the weekly time frame for a green fire. We went from blue to green here, and then we crossed here. Okay, so I want you to watch for these two behaviors. I want you to watch when weekly PTT turns green and when weekly PTT crosses. Those are the most important things right now for a potential macro run. And let me tell you guys something. Who cares if you missed the May bottom? It doesn't matter. Let the cross happen on that week and then buy the daily or the fucking 4-hour high or low. It doesn't matter. Because at that point, if a weekly pivots, for example, right? You're talking about multi-week uptrend. Anything you buy at that point, even if you're underwater for like 5 days, it's going to go way higher. When a weekly pivots, you should see a significant multi-week uptrend. And it probably won't happen until maybe Q2. But still, guys, trade very safe. We're going to make some changes in the Discord with John. We've been talking a lot about this downturn, and we're kind of like sick of the fact that every pump gets rejected, unfortunately. So, be aware of this situation. If this ends up being distribution and we get it to a bear market and we need to like start accumulating, we're going to come all the way down here. I don't want it to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't expect it to happen, but I need to inform everybody that nothing is safe, because if they come out with some fucked up news in the economy, in the stock market, you need to expect teens. When I mean teens, I'm talking about all-time highs retest teens, right? Again, don't forget, the weekly 200 EMA and the weekly 200 MA is at $19,000 to $27,000 or $25,000, guys. And there is a VWAP there. Previous. Don't forget, BTC never, ever reverses away from a previous VWAP. Ever. Look at this monthly VWAP over here. You see this blue one? We still haven't had a daily close under it. That's how you know that it's pivotal. Previous monthly VWAP. Make it blue so you guys can see this. Put it on the chart. Support it. Chart. Boom, boom. Now you have another one down here. I personally do not think that this is significant. I don't think this is significant. This consolidation led to this pump up. I think that it's going to be a fucking shit fest if we do happen to break down, small little bounce, track longs, and we're going straight down for this quarterly right here. I've never seen BTC reverse macro-wise without being by a quarterly VWAP, unfortunately. So I really do think that we're going to target $16,000 if this little block over here ends up being a cascade, unfortunately. And that's going under all-time highs, which BTC has never done before, right? BTC has never, ever retested sub all-time highs. So the probability of that is slim to none, right? So let's just assume that I'm correct and that all this is just a shakeout. And we shouldn't break the lows. The lows are going to hold. Let's just assume that these lows will hold. That no candle, no high time frame candle will go under $28,000. Let's just assume that for time being, you know. And look at the flip side. Quarterly VWAP at 56,000, right? Quarterly VWAP. Let's put this on. Previous quarterly. Make it green. Then we have a previous VWAP. These are on tap, by the way. They're clean. Previous monthly VWAP. I'm going to change the other one. I spelled it wrong. 50,000. So, and there's another one up here too, guys. Another previous monthly VWAP. So we have so much shit going on top of us that I really can't expect us to go into a bear market. I can't, man. I can't. Like BTC, if we were supposed to go into a bear market, it would have been seeing lower highs, right? Lower highs the whole time, man. High, lower high, lower high, lower high, right? We never really got above the quarterly. Over here, what do? We made a high and then we made a higher high. Made a low, and let's hope they'll make a higher low. And then we go back up. And if this is here lower high, when we go back up to $55,000, $58,000, Jesus Christ, then we're fucked. Then we're fucked. So let's just hope that doesn't happen. And when we do have to go back up to $50,000 or $55,000 at that point, and you want to see at that point another retest of at least $40,000 to $37,000 and call it a day, you know? But you understand what I'm saying, right? If you just take the calculation of low, high, higher, low, you still need to see at the VWAPs a lower high. And then you want to assume and hold that's your retest into all-time highs. This is a bullish scenario. And it should play out within a whole year. Can I give you guys something that's really depressing? Now, what happens if you go up for a lower high here? How do I change this color? Make this, I don't know, black. Lower high, come down here, we bounce, and then we do this. Well, fucked, right? Because the lower high, if it comes right back down and retest the neckline that led to the lower high, which is going to be roughly about $41,000. If you lose 41 again on the way down, and you want to assume that you're not targeting anymore down here, you're targeting all this. I'm sorry the video is very long, but I mean, I have to explain this because doesn't look too good, man. That's why it does not look too good, guys. All right, man. Hope you guys have a wonderful week, upcoming week. Right, I am expecting a little bit of blood. I do want to see BTC really come back down to this 43.8 zone. If not, I do expect this to be the cap at that 40. And basically anywhere you want between $40,000 and $41,000. See this view app over here? There you go. If you go to the lower top, you'll be able to see very well. See that? Yeah. So if you want to be smart, turn everything off and just tell yourself, I'm only going to put on a yearly and a quarterly view app. This is probably going to be a decent slap because they've been slapping us since probably like early January. Yeah, they've been slapping us. So if we do happen to get a poke up, it's looking at them coming down in my eyes. Guys, thank you for tuning in. Stay safe and warm, and we'll talk during the week.